Logan film. Logan is a 2017 American superhero film featuring the Marvel Comics character Wolverine, produced by Marvel Entertainment, TSG Entertainment, and the Donner's Company, and distributed by 20th Century Fox. It is the 10th installment in the X-Men film series, as well as the third Wolverine solo film following X-Men Origins, Wolverine and the Wolverine, and also being a reboot set in a different continuity to previous films. The film takes inspiration from Old Man Logan by Mark Millar and Steve McNiven, which follows an aged Wolverine undertaking a final adventure in a dystopian future. The film is directed by James Mangold, who co-wrote the screenplay with Scott Frank and Michael Green, from a story by Mangold. Hugh Jackman stars as Logan in his final portrayal of the character after having played the role for 17 years, with Patrick Stewart co-starring as Charles Xavier, Richard E. Grant, Boyd Holbrook, Stephen Merchant, Daphne Keane, Eric LaSalle, Elise Neal, and Elizabeth Rodriguez are all featured in supporting roles. Principal photography began in Louisiana on May 2, 2016 and ended on August 19, 2016 in New Mexico. The locations used for Logan were mainly Louisiana, New Mexico, and Mississippi. Logan premiered at the 67th Berlin International Film Festival on February 17, 2017, and was theatrically released in the United States on March 3, 2017, in standard and IMAX formats. It received praise from critics and audiences, becoming one of the best-reviewed film in the X-Men series and being considered by some as one of the best superhero films of all time, and has grossed $615.6 million worldwide against its $97 million budget, making it the fourth highest-grossing film of 2017. Plot. In the year 2029, mutants are on the brink of extinction. With no new mutants having been born in 25 years, James Logan Howlett, formerly known as Wolverine, spends his days working as a 2024 Chrysler limousine driver in Texas. His healing factor has faltered and, as a result, his body has aged greatly, and his adamantium skeleton is poisoning him. Logan lives with mutant tracker Caliban in an abandoned smelting plant across the Mexican border, where they care for Professor Charles Xavier, who is suffering from Alzheimer's disease, which causes him to lose control of his telepathic abilities to destructive effect. One day, Logan is approached by Gabriela Lopez, a nurse for biotechnology corporation Alkali Transigen, who wants him to escort her and an 11-year-old girl named Laura to a place in North Dakota called Eden. After reluctantly accepting the job from Gabriela, Logan discovers that she has been murdered. He, Xavier, and Laura narrowly escape from her killer. Transigen's cybernetically enhanced chief of security Donald Pierce, and his enforcers, the Reavers, but Caliban is captured and forced to use his powers to track them. Logan and Xavier learn that Laura is one of several mutant children Transigen was breeding, using DNA samples from several mutants for the X-23 project, and that upon completion of the X-24 project, the children were deemed obsolete and were to be euthanized. Gabriela helped several children escape from the Transigen compound before smuggling Laura, who is revealed to have been created from Logan's DNA, across the border. The Reavers catch up with them in Oklahoma City, but Xavier suffers a seizure and telepathically freezes everyone in the hotel, allowing Logan to kill the attackers before injecting Xavier with a suppressant and escaping. While on the highway, the trio helps farmer Will Munson and his family after a traffic incident. The Munsons invite them over for dinner, and they accept under the guise of being a tri-generational family. When the water pipe supplying the Munsons' house springs a leak, Logan and will leave the house to fix it. Upon fixing the pipe, they have a run-in with the owner of a neighboring corn syrup factory who has been after Will's property, which ends with Logan and Will fending them off. While Logan is gone, Xavier recalls a telepathic seizure he had in Westchester, where he inadvertently killed several civilians and X-Men. He expresses his guilt to a person he thinks is Logan, but who is actually X-24, a feral clone of Logan with a limited healing factor. X-24 fatally stabs Xavier before murdering Will's family and mortally wounding Will. When the factory owner comes back for revenge, X-24 kills him and his reinforcements as well. Xavier succumbs to his wound and dies, while Caliban sacrifices himself by setting off 2 grenades to destroy the Transigen van in which he is being held captive. Logan engages X-24, who gains the upper hand, but Will drives a car into X-24 and impales him. Will shoots X-24 before dying, allowing Logan and Laura to escape. After burying Xavier, Logan passes out from exhaustion. He wakes up in a clinic that Laura had driven him to, but refuses to get further treatment and wants to abandon the trip. Laura convinces him to complete it, and they arrive at Eden, a safe haven run by Richter and the other Transigen test subjects that managed to escape. Logan learns that the children plan to journey across the Canadian border and decides to part ways with them. However, when the children are intercepted by the Reavers, Logan uses a serum that temporarily restores his healing factor to intervene. Dr. Xander Rice, the head of Transigen whose father had been slain by Wolverine during his escape from Weapon X, pacifies Logan and reveals that the destruction of mutant kind is due to a genetic dampener forged by Transigen, which then spread around the world when they added it to the world's food and drink. Horrified and outraged, Logan shoots Rice dead before Pierce releases a regenerated X-24, which engages Logan. The children wipe out the remaining Reavers before killing Pierce. With their powers, Logan and Laura fight X-24, with Richter using his seismic powers to help them. However, X-24 brutally impales Logan on the branches of a fallen tree, but is killed when Laura shoots him with an adamantium bullet Logan had been keeping since Weapon X mortally wounded. Logan tells Laura not to be the weapon she was made to be before dying in her arms. Laura and the other children mourn his death and hold a somber burial. Laura takes a moment to turn the cross memorial on its side to form an X before she and the rest continue on the journey across the border. Cast: Hugh Jackman as James Howlett, Logan, Wolverine and X-24, a physically enhanced mutant with accelerated healing, dealing with his age and ailment. He is one of Charles Xavier's caregivers, alongside Caliban. Mangold spoke of Logan's age influencing his regenerative capabilities, which he stated may no longer produce soft skin, so we imagined he heals quickly, still. But it leaves a scar. The simple idea was that his body would start to get a little more ravaged, with a kind of tattooing of past battles, lacerations that remain of previous conflicts. Jackman indicated that he believed he was nearing the end of his run as Wolverine, and there was speculation early on that his next film could be his last. On the second page of the screenplay, Mangold spoke of Logan as "HE's older now, and it's clear his abilities aren't what they once were. He's fading on the inside, and his diminished healing factor keeps him in a constant state of chronic pain, hence booze as a painkiller." In 2015, Jackman requested fan input for the direction Wolverine's story should go in the next film, while seeming to confirm that the project would serve as his farewell to Logan. To prepare for his role, Jackman ate a minimum of 6 meals per day, when working with trainer Mike Ryan. Ryan stated that an average workout session for Jackman lasts up to 3 hours, beginning at 4:00 am. Jackman stated, "It's going to be very different in tone, and hopefully different to anything we've done." Regarding the more personal tone, Jackman noted, "That's always been really his dilemma, coming to terms with who he is." Jackman has also explained that comedian Jerry Seinfeld was indirectly responsible for his decision to stop playing Logan after 17 years, with Jackman stating, "I was having a chat with Seinfeld about a year ago. He was talking about why he finished Seinfeld. He said it always had this feeling and belief that you never know when either your energy or the audience's energy is going to dip over into people saying, 'Oh, please go.'" Jackman accepted a pay reduction to ensure that the film would be produced to receive an R rating. Jackman also plays a clone of Logan called X-24, who is a Solace, feral, younger version of the original Wolverine who represents the Weapon X past that haunted him. Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier, Professor X, a mutant who is the world's most powerful telepath, founder and former leader of the X-Men. Charles' telepathic abilities have become unstable due to age and his suffering of Alzheimer's disease, and at times he does not even recognize Logan. During the events of Logan, Xavier is cared for by Logan and Caliban. Regarding Xavier and the themes of aging and loneliness, Mangold said, "We've seen these characters in action, saving the universe. But what happens when you're in retirement and that career is over? The really interesting thing to me, or a place to dig that hadn't been dug, was the idea of mutants. When they're no longer useful to the world, or even sure if they can do what they used to do. Their powers are diminished, like all of ours are by age." Our Charles is a very sweet character in this film. I think he's always been an incredibly sweet character. With the addition of his own physical fragility in this movie, he becomes an incredibly powerful paternal figure in the movie. Logan is more of a reluctant one. I think you can easily guess. Stewart remarked that, "This is probably the end of this franchise for me. But the thing about science fiction and fantasy is that you can never, ever say it's the end, it's over." 1 month before the film's US premiere, Stewart concluded that he will retire from the role of Charles Xavier, stating that, "There will never be a better, a more perfect, a more sensitive, emotional, and beautiful way of saying au revoir to Charles Xavier than this movie." Boyd Holbrook as Donald Pierce, Transigen's relentless, calculating and intense head of security and leader of the militant Reavers who is sent to retrieve Laura, which brings him into conflict with Wolverine. Holbrook said of the character, "He's an innovative engineer, and he's a big fan of Wolverine. He just wants to hang out with him. There's a lot of surprising stuff in it." Mangold praised Holbrook's performance, saying that, "He is just a fabulous actor. I wanted this film to feel intimate and real, and truthfully acted. And I wanted very much to break away from the kind of bloated feeling I've gotten from a lot of comic book movies." Stephen Merchant as Caliban, an albino mutant who can sense and track other mutants, who is helping Logan take care of Xavier. On Merchant taking the role, Mangold mentioned, "I'm always interested to find the thing that looks most interesting on the actors. Stephen is a huge man. One of the things that is so wonderful filming with him for a character like this is that he's a good 6 inches taller than Logan, and huge over Patrick. The little kid in the movie would come up to basically his knee. So there's a wonderful sense of scale, but he has heart too." Mangold concluded by stating, "So that was a wonderful energy to enter the movie. And someone who instead of turning things into their own energy kind of joined ours." Caliban was previously portrayed by Thomas LaMarquis in X-Men, Apocalypse. Richard E. Grant as Xander Rice, the surgical head of Transigen, whose father was killed by Logan during his escape from Weapon X headquarters at Alkali Lake. On the character of Rice, Mangold stated, "He's the puppet master behind Pierce and the Reavers, and has a much larger role in the sense that helps actually the kind of brilliant mind that is trying to grow mutants." Daphne Keane as Laura Kinney, X-23, a mysterious young mutant who is very much like Logan, given that she is a female clone created from his blood. Transigen acquired some of Logan's DNA, and began making clones to use as weapons. On Keene's portrayal of Laura, Mangold mentioned, "If anyone could steal a movie from Jackman, it would be Daphne. She carries, all the time, a slight strangeness." Sienna Novikov served as Keene's stunt double. In an interview with Digital Spy, Mangold stated, "Keene was 11 years old when we were shooting. She's a remarkable kid. Her parents are actors, and she's kind of a very modern kid. Very physically capable, incredibly gifted as an actress. I mean, it was a huge risk for Fox to allow me to make a movie where the third point of the triangle was built upon someone so young." Mangold stated that the worldwide search for an actress to portray Laura was one in which he was seeking someone who was bilingual, because I wanted a Latina kid, one who was between 10 and 12, and was a credible child. He later stated of Laura that, "She's an 11-year-old girl equipped with all the volatility, instability, mood swings, shadows, and potential violence of our hero." Co-writer Scott Frank pushed for the character to speak as little as possible when he joined the project to avoid making her into a typical kid's sidekick, explaining, "I read a few other drafts of the script that Jim worked on, and in all those drafts she was talking from the beginning and had an attitude. I thought that was a giant mistake." Additionally, Eric LaSalle, Elise Neal, and Elizabeth Rodriguez appear as Will Munson, Catherine Munson, and Gabriela Lopez. Doris Morgado, David Carlaway, Han Soto, Jason Geno, Christoph Soshinsky and Alison Fernandez appear as Maria, Danny Rhodes, Valet, Richter, Mohawk, and Delilah, respectively. In the commentary to X-Men: Apocalypse, director Bryan Singer had stated that his film's post-credits scene would directly connect with the on-screen debut of X-Men antagonist Nathaniel Essex, Mr. Sinister in Logan. However, in January 2017, Mangold stated that the character would not appear in this film, a choice he made to keep the film's grounded style consistent. Though Mr. Sinister does not appear in the film, Kinberg confirmed the scene has correlation to how Laura was created, and that he will make an appearance in a future X-Men movie. Development. In November 2013, 20th Century Fox began negotiations for another solo film starring Wolverine, with James Mangold in negotiations to write the treatment for the film, and Lauren Shuler Donner returning to produce under the Donner's company. At the time, Hugh Jackman neither confirmed nor denied whether he had officially signed on to reprise the role of Logan in another film, though Jackman insisted that his lapsing contract with Fox, which reportedly would need to be renegotiated after X-Men: Days of Future Past, did not mean he would leave the franchise, as he had been working movie by movie since X2. He also stated, "I do want to do it with Jim and with producer Lauren Shuler Donner, because we had such a great experience. I'm really proud of the Wolverine." Later in the month, Mangold announced that the pre-production aspect of the film had not begun as of yet, nor the writing process, though he furthered this by stating, "I would say I'm not there yet, but I have taken finger to key. Let's say that. There's been typing, and ideas, and talking amongst all the principals." Shortly after the release of The Wolverine, Mangold spoke of a potential sequel, with the aim of not converting it into a "Will the World Survive" film. while also stressing his need not to make the same picture again. Mangold also mentioned some of the potential development structure that he might employ while addressing issues of character centricity. I think the key thing for me, you heard me talking about how I construct scripts, is just figuring out the key relationships and just what it's about, what theme the whole thing is going to be about. I've got a good angle on it, but I'm not ready to talk about it yet. In December 2013, Jackman spoke of nearing the end of his tenure as the character, while stating that the film was in the very early stages of development. Jackman also revealed that Mangold and he had begun speaking of potential ideas, adding, "Jim Mangold and I were literally on the phone last night talking about ideas. But there is no script and no writer yet, so it's a way off." Mangold would later reveal that Jackman was very involved in developing the story, saying, "Hugh and I have been friends for almost 20 years now, and he was there every step of the way. For Hugh and I, the first goal was to construct something more intimate." Hugh often brought up The Wrestler and Unforgiven as examples. I used those references as well as others. I pitched to both Hugh and the studio that I had an idea for an extremely bloody, existential Little Miss Sunshine. By March 2014, a decision was made to begin shooting after Bryan Singer's X-Men: Apocalypse, with the tentative plan to shoot the films back-to-back, with producer Hutch Parker stating, "The goal will be X-Men: Apocalypse for 2016, which means, at the latest, filming begins in summer 2015, and then the same thing with Wolverine, either before or after, but based on the script." Also in March, 20th Century Fox set a release date of March 3, 2017. Mangold boarded the project as director. Jackman signed on to reprise his role, and David James Kelly was hired to pen the screenplay. In April 2014, Jackman spoke about his ambitious feelings for the character of Logan, while mentioning that they can go further than what they achieved in the Wolverine. Jackman also expressed his feelings of finality with portraying the character of Logan. While in terms of storyline, he explained that nothing had been decided as of yet. Jackman concluded by highlighting that the success of the script development would determine whether Jackman would return at all. "I haven't signed on. I'm genuinely at that point where unless it's better than the last one, I'm not going to do it. I think it has to be better. I can still see where we can improve on the last one. I love the intimacy of that story. I liked the small stuff. I liked that it was a little unexpected." In February 2015, Patrick Stewart spoke of discussions about the third Wolverine film, centering around a team-up between Jackman's Wolverine and himself as Charles Xavier, with Stewart stating to Mark Mohan that, "We have been talking about a Wolverine movie, which would team Hugh Jackman and myself together. That would be a very different sort of X-Men from the 4 movies that I've already done." By April 2015, Michael Green had taken over screenwriting duties, with Mangold still actively overseeing the script development process. In September 2015, Jackman spoke of the writers being halfway through the script, and that the story would delve into the relationship between Wolverine and Professor X, to which he added, "I think it's a really important relationship, but I want to see signs of that quasi-father-son sort of relationship that has not been seen before, and sides of particularly Professor X that have not been seen before." Jackman spoke of Mangold's plan to start filming the next year, though he expressed uncertainty as to filming locations. Also in September, Mark Miller, creative consultant for Fox, confirmed that Mangold's film would be a loose adaptation of the Old Man Logan story, something that was hinted at earlier by Jackman. In October 2016, the title of the film was announced as Logan. In January 2016, Jackman confirmed that Mangold had a full screenplay, albeit not complete. The following month, Liev Schreiber expressed interest in returning to portray Victor Creed, Sabretooth, with Jackman himself mentioning Mangold's vision to Schreiber. After the film's release, it was revealed by Jackman that originally the script had the character play a role in the film, but that Sabretooth was excluded from the final screenplay. By April 2016, Mangold had chosen Boyd Holbrook to portray the main antagonist of the movie, the chief of security for a global corporation that is pursuing Wolverine. Also by April, Richard D. Grant was cast as a villainous mad-scientist, and Stephen Merchant had also been cast. In May, Eric LaSalle and Elise Neal were cast supporting roles, and Elizabeth Rodriguez entered negotiations for a small, but key role. Also in May, producer Simon Kinberg revealed that filming had already begun, and confirmed that the movie would be R-rated. Regarding the setting and tonality, he stated, "It takes place in the future, and as you and others have reported, it is an R-rated movie. It's violent. It's kind of like a Western in its tone. It's just a very cool, different film." Filming in New Orleans East in March 2015. Mangold anticipated that filming would begin early next year. Prior to filming, the film was given the working title of Juarez to lower the visibility of the production. By March 2016, Mangold was preparing to shoot to New Orleans, Louisiana, with a starting schedule of May. Producers Kinberg, Shula Donner, and Parker chose to film in Louisiana because of its popularity as a filmmaking location, as well as its filming incentive, which includes a 40% tax credit for movie productions, but requires a minimum spend of $300,000. Principal photography began in New Orleans, Louisiana on May 2, 2016, although it was originally scheduled to start shooting on April 25, 2016. Other filming locations in Louisiana included the NASA Michoud plant in New Orleans East, Amite City, Hussat, the Green Lawn Cemetery in Hammond, Metairie, and the Faraday Plaza Shopping Center. Exterior scenes were filmed along Louisiana Highway 15. A crash scene was shot on U.S. Route 425, just outside of Faraday, Louisiana. Producers Kinberg, Shula Donner and Parker chose to film in Faraday because of Concordia Parish's beautiful countryside and green cornfields. Scenes were also shot at Sicily Island High School and a house in Sicily Island. From June 14 to 28, 2016. Production was scheduled to take place in Natchez, Mississippi, to film a scene that required the casting of truck drivers. On July 12, 2016, production moved to its third major filming location, New Mexico, which ran through August in Albuquerque, Rio Rancho, Abiquiu, Tierra Amarilla and Chama. According to the New Mexico Film Office, production employed about 130 New Mexican crew members and 2 New Mexican cast members, as well as 600 extras. Scenes were shot at the Northern Meadows neighborhood of Rio Rancho, while a few miles further down King Boulevard, an elaborate set was built, with a toppled water tower that was used for exterior shots. Principal photography concluded in New Mexico on August 13, 2016. Post-production. Post-production began subsequent to filming closure on August 23, 2016. Film editor Michael McCusker described the process of going through dailies and breaking them down, and figuring out the structure of one scene as being complicated. McCusker stated that the task was time-consuming on the front end, but added, "I am looking at the back-end experience with Mangold as the more important experience. I don't want to be searching for stuff for him. I want to working towards getting the cut right." Chaz Jarrett was the overall visual effects supervisor and visual effects company Image Engine worked on most of the visual effects on Logan. Music. In July 2016, Cliff Martinez was announced as the composer of Logan's musical score. However, in December 2016, Mangold announced that Marco Beltrami, who had previously collaborated with Mangold on 3:10 to Yuma and the Wolverine, would score Logan instead. Track listing: total album length 57 to 31. Influences. Director James Mangold has said that Logan's influences included visual reference points of cinema, citing Shane, The Cowboys, Paper Moon, The Gauntlet, Little Miss Sunshine, and The Wrestler. Mangold spoke of cinematography-based framing, while noting that he does not necessarily think about the comic book-related sort, instead highlighting the variety of stylistic influences that went into Logan. These influences include film noir framings and classic Hollywood filmmaking styles, as well as the Germanic expressionist filmmaking style of the early part of the last century, which Mangold stated has a commonality with comic book art. Mangold highlighted strong foregrounds, playing things in depth. You have to make an image say more within that one image. Using the image of Logan at a funeral as an example of his stylistic logic, Mangold concluded by mentioning the aspects within modern filmmaking, primarily everything in close-up format. For Logan, his aim was to set frames that are descriptive and evocative of comic book panels and classical filmmaking. Release. Logan premiered at the 67th Berlin International Film Festival on February 17, 2017, in Berlin, Germany, where it was selected to be screened out of competition alongside The Bar, Final Portrait, Midwife, T2 Trainspotting, and Viceroy's House, before screening in the United States, where it was given a wide release on March 3, 2017. In October 2015, Fox confirmed that Logan would be released in the IMAX format. In the US, Canada, and UK, the film was preceded by a short film, Deadpool, No Good Deed. In it, Deadpool notices a man getting robbed, and springs into action, but first has to change into his costume in a phone booth. As he is finishing up, the man is shot. The short film ends with Deadpool commenting on the strangeness of the phone booth's presence, and eating the man's Cherry Garcia ice cream. The teaser met with positive reviews. Ryan Reynolds posted an extended version of the teaser via his YouTube channel the day after the film's release. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.